How far would a mother go to protect her child? The ending is heartbreaking. 70 million years ago, a group of Therizinosaurus was hunting together. However, their movements accidentally disturbed a nearby Tyrannosaurus rex. These massive predators immediately singled out one of the members that had strayed from the group and began to chase it down. The Therizinosaurus fled for its life, narrowly avoiding capture several times. Just as it seemed like there was a chance to escape, it lost its footing and fell off a cliff, crashing heavily into the valley below. The Tyrannosaurus rex couldn't follow and was forced to give up, looking for easier prey. But against all odds, the fallen Therizinosaurus survived. Though dizzy and disoriented, she was lucky enough to avoid fatal injuries. Her companions had already become the predator's meal, and now she was alone, needing to find safety as quickly as possible, especially since she was pregnant and time was running out. She ventured deep into the forest and eventually found a relatively safe area. There, she began searching for food. Laying eggs requires tremendous energy, so she needed to stock up first. 2 weeks later, she successfully laid several eggs and carefully circled them with her body to protect them. She constantly shifted her position to keep the eggs warm while remaining alert to any threats. Sure enough, danger soon appeared. A group of small velociraptors quietly approached, clearly eyeing the eggs as a meal. The mother immediately reacted, leaping into the air, her sharp claws raised to defend. But the little velociraptors weren't intimidated. They attacked. The mother retaliated swiftly, her massive claws tearing into her enemies. However, the attackers were too many. One velociraptor snuck around to the nest's edge and broke one of the eggs. When she turned back, the egg was already an empty shell. To protect the remaining eggs, she had to make a painful decision. Eventually, all the baby Therizinosaurus hatched, but the real challenge was just beginning. As they grew, their appetites increased dramatically, forcing the mother to take them into even more dangerous areas. This risky move caught the attention of a Tyrannosaurus rex. As the giant predator approached, the mother did not hesitate to stand in its way. But how could a herbivorous dinosaur possibly stop a massive carnivore? This was going to be a fight for survival. The Tyrannosaurus rex seized the opportunity and sank its teeth into her neck, delivering a fatal wound that caused blood to pour out. But the power of motherhood fueled her fighting spirit. Ignoring the pain, she charged at the predator again and again, determined to protect her young. Her fierce resistance eventually succeeded in driving the enemy away. However, the cost of victory was deadly. Her neck was deeply pierced, and blood continued to flow as her strength drained away. In the end, she collapsed to the ground, using her last bit of energy to look around, as if saying goodbye to her babies, before closing her eyes forever. From that moment on, these freshly hatched lives would have to rely on themselves to survive in the brutal ancient world. If a T-Rex were to travel through time and arrive in the modern world, could it dominate the animal kingdom? Even the top predator on the savannah, the lion, would feel fear in the presence of a T-Rex. Standing about 16 feet tall and measuring over 40 feet in length, it far outmatches the lion in strength and threat. When the lion sees the T-Rex, it would be frozen in fear, too terrified to even think about fighting back. But the T-Rex isn't interested in these small feline creatures. Its gaze quickly locks onto something much larger in the distance, a mighty African elephant. Weighing about 6 to 7 tons, this is the real prey for the T-Rex. The T-Rex quietly approaches the herd, and just as danger looms, a female elephant steps forward. She raises her head, revealing her sharp tusks, and lets out a deep, threatening roar, warning the T-Rex to back off. However, the T-Rex isn't intimidated by threats. It swiftly lunges at the female elephant, its massive jaws aimed directly at her neck. But the elephant's neck is thick and tough, making it difficult for the T-Rex to find a vulnerable spot. At the same time, the elephant's tusks, like spears, thrust toward the T-Rex, forcing it to stay out of reach. Realizing that brute force alone won't win the fight, the T-Rex changes tactics. It waits for the right moment, using its powerful bite to snap off one of the tusks, then quickly moves behind the elephant and sinks its teeth into her front leg. The intense pain drives the elephant into a frenzy, and she begins to struggle wildly. While the tusk injury isn't fatal, the weight of the elephant's massive body is too much for her front leg to bear, and it starts to give way. Finally, the T-Rex delivers a crushing blow, and the elephant crashes to the ground, her neck exposed. Against the T-Rex's crushing bite, no animal stands a chance. Do you think any animal today could challenge the T-Rex's reign as the king of beasts? 66 million years ago, on the beaches of North Ephraim, 7 different species of pterosaurs lived and thrived together. The Tethys pterosaur didn't just build nests on the ground, it stayed behind to guard its young, because this stretch of beach was extremely dangerous. Another species, the much larger phosphorite pterosaur, stood nearly 10 feet tall and carried a dagger-like beak. Always alert, it waited for the perfect moment to strike, ready to snatch up any defenseless hatchling that strayed too far from safety. Faced with threats like this, the clever kingfisher pterosaur made a bold choice. It nested on steep cliffs, hiding its eggs beneath layers of seaweed far from most predators. Before long, the first kingfisher pterosaur chick cracked its way out of the egg. It was only a few centimeters tall and weighed less than a chicken egg. But for these newborns, the first challenge wasn't finding food, it was surviving. Within just a few hours of hatching, they had to climb all the way to the top of the cliff. One wrong move meant falling straight down and being smashed to pieces, instantly eliminating the weakest among them. Soon, thousands of pterosaurs gathered at the cliff's edge, yet no one dared to move first. The drop below was a bottomless abyss. At last, one brave hatchling took the leap, lifting into the air and leading the others toward the unknown, mist-covered forest beyond. But danger appeared almost immediately. The barbarian pterosaur, a powerful predator that usually hunted fish, saw these kingfisher hatchlings as rare and irresistible prey. The young pterosaurs reacted fast, folding their wings and diving downward to evade the attacks. Chaos followed. The group scattered, and some strayed into other predators' territories where they became easy meals. Still, a few determined survivors pushed on, eventually reaching the safety of the forest. And there, a whole new world awaited them. This is a rare video showing the process of a Tyrannosaurus rex laying eggs. She tenses her massive body and, following the rhythm of nature, lays her eggs just like other reptiles. With rhythmic muscle contractions, a moist egg slowly drops to the ground, marking the continuation of the T-Rex bloodline. Female T-Rex typically lay a dozen or more eggs at a time, but less than a third of them ever successfully hatch. Each egg must battle against time and the natural environment. As the sun rises and the temperature gradually climbs, the embryos slowly develop within their shells, forming into the shape of baby T-Rex. This process usually takes 3 to 6 months. When the temperature is stable, the embryos accelerate their growth, but climate fluctuations can bring disaster. Eventually, the eggshell cracks open and the hatchling emerges. The mother T-Rex lowers her head and carefully observes the new life, perhaps trying to memorize the appearance of her offspring, forming a parent-child bond. But danger is never far away. While the mother hunts for food, her hatchlings become the targets of predators. Suddenly, the loud flapping of wings echoes through the air as a Quetzalcoatlus dives down. This was the largest flying animal in history, with a wingspan of over 36 feet. With exceptional vision, it could spot movement hundreds of yards away. Originally a fish eater, it's now drawn to the squirming hatchlings on the ground. For these young dinosaurs, this is a life-or-death moment. The hatchlings scream in terror, their cries cutting through the dense forest and reaching the mother's ears. The mother, nearby on the hunt, not only has exceptionally sharp hearing, but also an acute sense of smell, allowing her to analyze scent molecules in the air. Realizing that the scent of her young is quickly fading, she lets out a deafening roar and charges toward the nest. The Quetzalcoatlus, sensing the approaching danger, immediately takes flight and disappears into the sky. Even the mighty T-Rex, in its journey toward adulthood, faces constant peril. What would happen if a Tyrannosaurus rex met a mosasaurus in the ocean? 67 million years ago, two T-Rexes were hunting a massive beast when they accidentally wandered into a mosasaurus's territory. The giant creature panicked and fled toward the deep sea, thinking it could shake off its pursuers. But the two T-Rexes were full of confidence, never doubting that any predator would dare challenge them. As the water level rose, a massive shadow suddenly appeared, and the T-Rex's arrogance vanished instantly. It was a fully grown mosasaurus, over 43 feet long. Fortunately, the water hadn't completely submerged the T-Rexes, allowing them to barely stay on their feet. The T-Rexes didn't back down. They launched a ferocious attack, biting at the mosasaurus. As the undisputed rulers of the land, they were supremely confident. But to their surprise, the mosasaurus was incredibly agile in the water, quickly dodging their assault. Diving beneath the waves, the mosasaurus vanished from the T-Rex's sight. Seizing the moment, it struck from the side, clamping its jaws around a T-Rex's neck with deadly precision. In an instant, dozens of conical teeth, each more than 5 inches long, pierced through skin and muscle. Within 2 minutes, the T-Rex stopped breathing, becoming the mosasaurus's prey.